Delicious. What's up, bad bitches of the world and now YouTube? How are you all doing? This is another episode of Confessions of a Queer-Ass Black Boy. I am Ellis Monte. I'm your host, and this is the podcast where I, a queer black boy, talks about things that are relevant to all queer black and brown bodies, spirituality, higher conscious living, and all other things under the sun that, I find interesting. So I hope that you're along for the journey and whatever that is about. Today I want to talk to you all about letting go of your small self, your low vibrational self, and getting ready to manifest. Manifesting the life that you want, is really popular, but I think people forget that in order to do that, you gotta let go of the shit that's holding you back. And that's like an experience, a lesson that I've been learning. So I feel like one thing that I always love to do with the podcast, especially if you've been listening to it on Spotify and Apple Music, is just share the lessons that I've been learning, because I think that's what life is all about. I think one little job title that I'm learning to give myself is spiritual teacher. I'm a believer that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we want to experience things, and I just want to, and a lot of the experiences that we have, we have given the word of it's a lesson, or it's a trial, or it's hard, or it's this, that, and the third. But I think they're meant to be shared, because I know that for me, that's how I gain a lot of clarity in life, is being able to say, okay, what did this other person that I trust do? In a book, if you know me, you know that I have hundreds of books that I like to read sometimes simultaneously, because they just give me different perspectives. Also a firm believer in therapy and just talking to other people. So this is me putting myself out there as a newfound spiritual teacher and just saying, hello, here's some of the things that a bad bitch has learned, and I'm also a spiritual teacher who's gonna cuss, so get ready for that. It's pretty early in the morning, so I had to bring my coffee, So one thing that I wanted to say, just a disclaimer, is that what I say is not law. I'm a human, so I have my own opinions, and I bring in different books and sayings that I've heard throughout my lifetime. So what I say does not have to be 100% true for you. I just hope that you are able to take what resonates for you and, apply it to your own life, because that's what we all do. And know that, if you don't resonate with all of what I'm saying, it doesn't mean that you're invalid or I'm invalid or anything. It just means that some of it just isn't true for you. There's a for you to everything. So yeah, with that being said, I know that my last video that I recorded to pop to YouTube was months ago. And I know in that last video, if you watch it, I was in a totally different background. I was living in New York, but life said, nope, it's time for you to come on home to Georgia. So that's what a bad bitch did. And I've come home to Georgia. I'm back in my room. And yeah, that's where we're at. I just know that no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, whatever is going on in life, I need to express myself. So I'm very proud of myself to be able to say okay, we're expressing ourselves in the way that we want to express ourselves. And that is through YouTube, period. Also, I have notes right here. So if you see me looking down, that's exactly what I'm doing. Also, and one of the main reasons why I feel like I needed to get on YouTube is just simply because, if I'm a spiritual teacher, if I've made this agreement with, Source, the universe, God, however you like to call it, how can I, share the lessons that I've been giving without, putting it out there in a platform where I could reach people, without doing the due diligence to actually share said lessons. I think for a long time, I've been doing the opposite. I've been taking, learning the lessons, but keeping them to myself, or just writing about them, or just doing it on a very small scale. And that's just very low vibrational energy. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today, is letting go of the low vibration, letting go of the small self in order to encapsulate your grand self, your big self, so that you can manifest your life. And beyond just manifesting, be happy. Like, just be happy. Like, I think that's really what it's, at least for me, I know it's all about. Let's just get started. So on a spiritual level, A Course in Miracles, which is a foundation for inner peace, says, be not content with littleness. Littleness is the offering you give yourself. You offer this in place of magnitude, and you accept it. Choose littleness, and you will not have peace, for you have judged yourself unworthy of it. So for anybody who's interested in inner peace and just spirituality, and also isn't afraid of like the loose concept of Christianity, I think that A Course in Miracles is a really amazing, just, I don't want to say like it's a book, but it's a practice, and it's just really beautiful, and it's been really like shaking my life up ever since I've gotten it. I read this yesterday, to be honest, and like, you know, I was in this area of like, okay, I know I want to do a podcast episode, but what do I actually want to talk about? And something came to me and said like, let go of your smaller self. And when I read this was kind of like confirmation of it, because it was very like blatant in like the words of like littleness. In this sense, like in this philosophy, littleness is really more so like your sense of individuality or your ego. Your ego is your side of yourself that feels separate from other people, that feels that like, you know, your experience is only your own, you're the most important. The side of you that feels separate from source, from God, that feels like it's like, you know, you against the world. The idea basically that you are on your own. So it's like, give up littleness. In a source, the quote is saying, give up your littleness, so that you can experience magnitude, which is God, source, love, and all that other good stuff. One way that I've been living like that or feeling like that is my littleness has shown out on like my own insecurities, because I think that my insecurities are very much an individual thing. Like, they're things that I've just created, specifically a YouTube. Like, I remember growing up, like I felt very confident in myself and my skills. I remember being like the kid. You guys remember when like Kids Bop would be like, hey y'all, like we want a new Kids Bop, like send in videos of you singing, and I would like practice my ass off and like get on the camera, like lights, camera, action, I'm singing, it's time to go, like I'm about to be a whole star. But obviously just through life and through experiences, that side of me just kind of it left. I think just, you know, we could do whole videos about it, like, you know, through middle school, being bullied and all this other good stuff, and like letting that spark kind of fade happen. And I just like, you know, my ego felt that it was more so better for me to be quiet and for me to just kind of remain silent and for me to be on the vigilance. Like, I think one unfortunate thing for people who have been bullied, especially for their queerness and for their, like, you know, I know for me being a feminine boy in, like, you know, spaces, is that I just had to be vigilant of myself. I couldn't really allow myself to be like free and, you know, my full self, because like, you know, that will open myself up to people attacking me. So, you know, in my mind, my ego was like, okay, you know, we gotta keep it cool, we ain't doing too much, like all that rah-rah, I'm a star stuff gotta fade to the back, because, you know, you can't take up space if you're going to be attacked. So that was just an agreement that I made for myself, and I think it just manifested in ways, and these are agreements that I've made for years. Like, I feel like this stuff started in like late elementary to middle, you know, to high school, just being afraid to take up space. And I think that's why, like, when it came to YouTube, like, if you're my friend watching this, I know you have probably said to me, Ellis, you need to do YouTube, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I probably was like, yeah, for sure, yeah. Or I gave like some type of excuse or whatever. And that was really true. Like, I had so many excuses as to why I just wasn't ready to do YouTube. Insecurities that I just felt that I may not have even shared. I felt like, you know, me in front of the camera just wasn't a pleasant sight. I felt like, you know, people would see the features that I have like internally that are a little like that I'm insecure in, basically. I just felt like I don't know, just wouldn't fit in. Like, it just wouldn't be a good match. Just insecurities nonetheless. And also just not like, you know, another thing I thought about was like not rich enough. Like, some YouTubers that I see, and I've debunked this thought, because a lot of the YouTubers that I saw, like in the beginning when I was a kid, I always just felt like their backgrounds were so beautiful, especially the ones who have like millions of subscribers. But I do see today and age, like nowadays, a lot of the YouTubers I watch are very casual. Like their backgrounds are really fucking casual, blank, like nothing, and they get the views. So I kind of have debunked that. But like that was a fear of mine too. Like even just like the thought of like, okay, what's my background gonna be like this past week I was like really in a mental funk, because I'm like, what am I gonna, like, how am I gonna do this? Like just creating mental blocks for me to not sit my ass down and do this episode. You know how it is. So I think, like, going back to that spiritual quote from the Course in Miracles, like I had this sense of littleness of like, I'm on my own, I gotta figure this out, and like all my insecurities were being flared up, and like I was feeling very justified in them, like I'm not ready yet, I don't have this yet, my hair isn't done, I don't have a haircut, like all these excuses just to not be able to be in love with myself and know that like everything is gonna be taken care of for me, and that no matter what I say, no matter how I get on here and look, no matter how my background is, like you can see my shoes, you can see whatever, you can make whatever judgments, like the people who are going to resonate with it are going to do just that. So I think I've held on to littleness and insecurities for a long time. I've allowed my ego to hold me back for so long. And the funny part is, like, I've just always wanted to do YouTube. I don't know if I was able to portray that through that whole little story, but I've always wanted to do it. I've always got on here and felt very like sometimes jealous of the people who were doing it out loud and who were doing it confidently and who were, being successful at it, like successful at expressing themselves. I really wanted to do it so badly. But the insecurities and the littleness stopped me. And I think that was really ultimately not allowing me to manifest the life that I wanted to do. I think I found other ways that would make me how do you want to say it? Comfortable. Like I did the podcast, like I did it, without the visuals. So that layer of my insecurities, like the visual side, were just gone. So that was cool for a time. That was like definitely enough. But I think the universe, God, source, was like, okay, now you've done this, proud of you, pat on your back, good job, bitch. You found some people that, really like it. But now it's time to take it to a new level. And for a long time, for about a year, because I started the podcast in 2020. So for about a year and a half, maybe 2, I just was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like I moved to New York, y'all know that, and everything. And I don't know, I just wasn't ready, which is okay. I think now that I'm in this space, to be ready for it is like the most beautiful thing. But I look back and I see that I was not ready for the call, because I was so adamant about holding on to my small self, very low vibrational energy, and I'm not ready for that. And I don't want that shit for me, for you, for anybody. Okay. And one thing that I want to like just stress and like point out for myself, and I'm pretty sure for you too, is like the things that I was holding on to were just totally illusions. And that's one thing that the Course in Miracles notes, is that like fear, insecurities, all that shit, all the things that your ego, your small self creates are all illusions. They're all things that are just genuinely not there. I know that may be hard to grasp like in this moment, but we'll talk more about it later. But I can just know that for myself. Like a lot of the insecurities that I created were my own. They were like created in my mind. Like luckily for me, fortunately, I know this may not be for everyone, but like no one ever told me that I would not be good at YouTube, or no one ever told me that I couldn't, host a good podcast, or that I, wasn't good enough to do all these other things. Like I'm very grateful for that. I think for me in my situation, it goes to show that like the insecurities that I were having were my own. And since they were my own, they were illusions. They were not real. They were only like being manifested in my world because I was holding on to them. But now that I'm in this place of like letting that shit go, like suspending all like insecurities and like belief that I'm not good enough or that I'm not ready, I think I'm able obviously to be in front of the camera and ready to do it. I urge you to know that like your fears are just illusions. They're not real. They are not fucking real. And I'm going to say that every time I get on here and we talk about it. I'm just going to let you know that it's not real. And your mind, your ego wants you to think that. And I also want to set the difference between like your mind and ego. Like when I say mind, I more so just mean the monkey mind, the mind of the part of you that's anxious, the part of you that is holding on to things, the part of you that is like stressing out about shit. Like I feel like that's what I mean by the mind. I'm not using brain and mind synonymously. This is the first time in a long time. I feel like I'm just really ready to change. And this is my declaration of being ready to change. I think the pain of being where I was at has just gotten great enough to where I'm ready for change. And I think that's a quote that a therapist told me once, is that like most people don't change until being where they are is too painful, which is real. Like I think sometimes we can get comfortable, and that's okay. I think, humans were creatures of habits. We like to do what feels comfortable. But I think when you just are knowing that you need to do something, and you just deny it, the universe whispers and then it screams. And I think the universe has been screaming to me because I've just been so unhappy with like just the little creative shit that I do, or just life in general, because like I haven't been creative at all. Like I haven't been expressing myself in my lessons at all. So I think that's been the universe screaming to me to be like, hey bitch, like get on your shit. Like why are you not bossing up? Like you just being real small-minded. And it's like, you have this talent, you have this gift, share it, do something with it, you know what I'm saying? So I urge you to really look at your life and think about like, is the universe screaming to me at some point? Like is this lesson oh my god, I'm life. It's funny, my video just stopped recording, so I finished the podcast episode in my mind and it was not recording because I had no storage. I deleted and removed and transferred storage for about 30 minutes, and then I tried to record again, did that for about 10 minutes, and then I don't know why my phone just stopped. So I am open and ready and receptive for a more reliable recording source in due time. But I am a testament to we're not letting the bullshit stop us, because it's life is going to do what it needs to do. And I think the most important thing for me is to just get on this podcast or get on this whatever and just record. I put like a little contraption in the back so that I can see a mirror, so if I can if something happens, I know. But yeah, persevere. So yeah, boss the fuck up. That's what life was telling me. Level up. Stop doing the things that are just so like you're comfortable with. Like I was totally comfortable with continuously doing audio podcasts for however long, but I think at some point when it was time for me, I just started to feel uneasy, and I felt like I was like kind of being left behind, more so like not just in everyone else was doing video podcasts, but more so in like there's a thing that I'm interested in. And there's also like, also the community was telling me like, oh my God, we would love like video podcasts, but those fears were like stopping me. But ultimately, I feel like my spirit, my higher self was like feeling very uncomfortable because I wasn't allowing myself to express it through video and level up and ultimately like reach more people. So, that was one way that I felt like I was holding myself back, but ultimately I'm ready to listen to the universe and do better. I can think about this in terms of dating as well, where I ultimately know that I am a lover boy. I'm a Pisces. I love love. I love the idea of love, but I think just through experiences, through being a child of divorce, I feel like my mind has like had a fear of love. Like I'm ultimately, I've had some fears about like just how it'll go. Am I worthy of it? Like all these other little fears that I've just accumulated over the span of my life. And I think, and I know that putting myself in situations, or I put myself in situations with men who did not align with what I truly wanted. I think, if you're gay and you're black, the apps that you can get on to find connection, but not really to find love. And for a while, I was really content with that. But then I think at some point, with having multiple encounters with those type of people who were totally open to just having casual things, but not open to calling you the next day or texting you or showing up for you, that shit got tiring for me. And I think, again, the universe whispers and then it screams. Like, it was just, little instances of like, oh, that was disappointing, that was disappointing, that was disappointing. But then it was like, ultimately the other day, my friend was like, bitch, you want a relationship, just admit it. Like, oh shit, like somebody else can see what I ultimately want in life. Fuck, I'm exposed. But it was really freeing, because it was like, yes, I do want a relationship. And they were like, just stop getting on those apps. Like, just stop like entertaining that stuff. Stop, in a sense of what I'm saying to you, stop entertaining the smaller things. When you want something bigger, you want something grander, you want something real. And I just was like, you're right. You're so right. In terms of like law of attraction, one thing that I've learned through Abraham Hicks is that, like, if you continuously do something, that's because you believe that you deserve it. And that's what you're going to continue to attract into your life. And I feel like, with me putting so much attention and allowing those beliefs that I was not worthy of real love manifest in my life, I just continue to attract those things. I just, and I kept telling myself, there are not men here. I can't find people that want to, connect with me on a deeper level. It's hard to date. It's all these other things. I said those things. I played them out. I said it to my stepmom, my brother, my sister. I said it to them all, and I can see now how I've genuinely attracted all of those things into my life. I continue to attract those things into my life because I believe them. And we all know that beliefs are thoughts repeating. Thoughts repeated are beliefs. And that's just what continues to show up in my life. But, it's all about being aware. It's all about being ready. I think step one is awareness. And luckily for me, through reading tons of books and also having a therapist, I've been able to kind of see and notice these subconscious beliefs that I've held on to, and I haven't even really said it to myself. Like, I wasn't consciously saying to myself like, oh, Ellis, you're not deserving of love, or Ellis, like, you're never going to find love. I don't remember really saying those things blatantly to myself, but my actions said those things. So I really urge us all to just look at our actions, like look at our beliefs and the things that we think consciously that we want. Like, we can want financial freedom, but every time we get a check, we're spending it on frivolous shit. And I say that for myself too. There's so many things. And one thing I've also noticed about life is that, like, it's very reflective. Like, how you feel about one aspect of your life is often probably how you feel about another one of your life too. I could feel blocked and small in my dating life, and I also feel that way in my career too, and I also feel like that in my home life too, wanting more, needing more, but not ultimately really doing the things that will get me to where I want to be. It's a realization. It's one that'll fuck you up. It'll fuck you up for a day or two, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm ready to like actively try, and I don't want to disregard the power of like allowing life to do what it needs to do and allowing life to just run its course. Like, I'm not saying that like we have to be on go mode every moment, but I think once you kind of free yourself from those limiting beliefs and actions, you can get into the cruising mode of life and like, okay, I'm just gonna allow life to be as it is, because I'm not actively doing things that are holding me back and not getting me to where I want to be, and not allowing my higher self to live. It's funny, again, I've done this video about 2 times, so all the amazing things I said in the first tidbit were probably gone, but I hope that I've said all that I need to say in this episode, because ultimately this is the first of many. I'm really excited to be expanding into this podcast, and ultimately all I want to leave you with is let go of the unnecessary shit. Let go of those disbeliefs that are holding you back and telling you that you can't have your grand, amazing life, and that you can't have all the things that you want, because you really genuinely can. It's just about being aware of what you're thinking, aware of what you were believing, and aware of what you want to believe. My task for you is like, if you want to change some things, I really urge you to just write them down and then create some affirmations about that. Like, I know for me, I want, going back to dating, I want a healthy relationship. So that is an affirmation that I've created by saying that I am open and receptive to a loving, happy, and fulfilling relationship. And I know that I'm gonna have it. And that's genuinely what I believe. And I'm not going to accept anything that is anything less than that. So, period. Boss the fuck up. So yeah, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. I trust that if you liked it, you will go ahead and hit the subscribe and like button so that you can stay tuned and we can stay in touch. In the next video I drop, you will be totally notified, okay? So have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.